Church After Hours. It's episode 20, and like we always do, we do a quick recap. But before we even do the recap, you see we got the bottles right here.
Yeah.
Shout out to Dusty Baker. Shout out to the city of Houston for winning that thing. 2022 World Series champs, man. What's your thoughts about Dusty, getting over that hurdle and putting a stamp on his Hall of Fame career?
Watching him celebrate with the team last night,
That was beautiful.
man, it made me really realize and remember how of a player's coach and a young man at heart he really is.
Right.
Oh, it was just, I've never seen a coach or manager per se celebrate like one of the kids.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was dope to watch, man. I'm very proud of him. Long overdue. Yeah.
It was great to see, like Kurt said, the players, this whole city of Houston, because me and my sons had this split screen. We watching Jackson Stadium, we watching the World Series, and they both was like 2 blocks away from each other in Houston last night. And you could just see the energy of everybody wanting to get behind Dusty and him to win this championship. The fans went all to win it for Dusty signs. Some of the former players was tweeting and putting up videos last night on Twitter, Instagram. So it's just great to see him finally break through and get this win, from the days in San Francisco, Chicago, Cincinnati, Washington, and now to cap it off, especially what the city of Houston went through. So it was a pleasure to see him do that last night.
Most definitely, man. It's just monumental things. So
Absolutely.
we celebrate it, baby.
Absolutely.
Hey, cheers to the 2022 World Champs, the Houston Astros.
Absolutely.
Uncle Dusty.
Absolutely. So let's jump right in. Last week was episode 19. I had our 2 young brothers on here, Brother Darius and Brother Chris. People really enjoyed that episode. What was your thoughts about that episode, bringing those young brothers in and hearing their perspective of what church and youth ministry was for them?
Oh man, the energy was dope.
Yeah.
Chris, he's one of them cats, man, that was a lot younger than me, but his energy was on 100. You know what I mean?
Right. And the thing I love most about the episode, you got to see them both as young, mature men. Darius is a husband, a father. Chris is a young professional doing his thing, and they got an opportunity to share about their youth ministry days and how those days help propel them to what they're doing now. And more importantly, I feel like Chris opened it up and talking about our mental health, our mental, the way we take care of ourselves from a mental capacity and how we may become depressed, and talked about his issues. I thought that was very dope, and I think that's needed to see black men coming together, openly talking about those things. So I thought that was super, super dope.
Yeah, and I also think that it amplified what we said first season about the youth ministry at Lincoln Heights Baptist.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So let's get into episode 20 tonight. It's time for y'all new favorite segment, which is church parking lot gossip. We got some good topics for y'all tonight. One I want to talk about first, Kurt, I'm gonna throw it to you. What is the armor bearer and are armor bearers biblical? Now I have to admit, this was my topic I brought to the table because the whole armor bearer movement started in the 90s when we had this thing called the mega church jump off. And the armor bearer basically where you'll see the pastor with what I would consider as a kid, which would be like a bunch of associate ministers or deacons that's kind of, going with pastor and making sure pastor got all the things that he need. And as a kid, I always like some things aren't biblical. And armor bearers, in my eyes, are not biblical. So I wanted to talk about that today. So I want to talk about a particular passage of the Bible, and I'm going to throw it to you. If you go to 2 Samuel, King James Version, 18th chapter, 15th verse, and I always like to give context, like I always say, what's going on before and after the actual verse. In this particular chapter, David is going into war. He's going into a battle, and he's appointed these captains and these men to be, captains of the army. And one of the men is a brother named Joab. And in the 15th verse, you see Joab with his 10 armor bearers, and one of his armor bearers kills a man named Absalom. So when I read it, I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, an armor bearer is simply a person who's carrying the armor of the captain or the person who's leading them in the battle. If you've seen movies like 300 or any of those Troy, those type of movies where they have to put on the breastplate, the helmet, the leg, like that's all an armor bearer is. They're a person that's in the army that's carrying the lieutenants or the captain's gear. And when we look at church and how we just take, and it's other stories in the Bible where you see these same armor bearer guys doing the same type of work. When we look at the church and we see it as being something different, talk about armor bearers and why we, it makes me think about Erica's episode, I'm Not Your First Lady. Why don't we take these things and just twist it and make it something that is totally not?
Man, first of all, you know I'm not that poetic. I'm just straight to the gut. I've always thought the armor bearer was like a bodyguard, damn near, man.
Yeah.
I always thought he had some type of, you know what I mean, either a shank or a pipe on him, you know, to protect. And I've never really truly understood it myself, but I always wondered, you know, as the pastor would walk in, I always wondered who the dude was.
Right.
You know, I always wondered. So I wasn't too for sure. I don't know too much, but I think, you know, that the story of David was something that was a little more insightful to the armor bearer.
Right.
But that's all my history on it, man.
Absolutely. And again, it's just a person that's carrying the armor of the captain or the lieutenant of the army, and we made it to where this person is like security, this person is like a flunky, you know what I'm saying? Like,
so he is security.
Yeah, in a way, but not in the way of we see it biblically going into battle. You know what I'm saying? These dudes is going to get lattes, they going to get the pastor's clothes out the dry cleaning. Like, I just think it's distorted. It's not biblical. Just like first ladies aren't biblical.
I wish somebody would ask me to go get paid.
Go get my suit.
I wish somebody would ask me to go get their dry cleaning.
Exactly.
So he like Jerome the Prince.
There it is. Perfect analogy.
Holding the mirror.
Perfect. Right, exactly. Holding the mirror, doing the bird.
Yeah.
We're gonna move to our next segment in Church Parking Lot Gossip. Our next topic is, should Christians celebrate holidays? And this is a good one because this is that time of year. I was just driving here and I'm like, man, they got up the Christmas stuff and we just got out of Halloween less than 7 days ago and Thanksgiving ain't even got here yet. And we talked about this a little bit in season 1 when I talked about Reverend Pipers did his series on holidays and things of that nature. Talk about these holidays, Kurt, man, and should we be divesting ourselves from these holidays, and should Christians really be partaking in these holidays the way we do from an economical standpoint?
Now, I don't necessarily call myself a Christian any longer, so I'm not gonna necessarily speak on what they should do.
Right.
But I will say that as a business owner, I have seen the, overdoing it of holidays, just the type of money that it brings in. So for me and mine, we keep it very basic. Of course, at our business, we put up, all the
dressings and the
the dressings and the trees, so you can bring them all in.
Absolutely. It's business, baby.
But we do live in a capitalistic society.
Absolutely.
And that's one thing about Christianity and other religions. Sometimes I feel like things aren't realistic in the sense like down the street they're not making money. Mm-hmm. Y'all not making money. You know what I mean? Money is kind of a no topic until they say time for the offering.
That's right.
So in essence, I'm really not a fan of how holidays empty out people's pockets around the calendar.
Absolutely. Again, if people are spending time with their families and loved ones, I'm all for that. But to put yourself in debt, when the average person says their New Year's resolution, I'm gonna do better with my finances, and you're starting to get off of debt, I think that's counterproductive to getting yourself to where you want to be in life, and that's financially free. So do what works best for you. I just feel like we need to be better stewards over our finances and not invest so much money in these holidays that don't invest back into us. You know what I mean?
Also, now there are some holidays that I think, like Halloween. Halloween has some real significance in the larger scale of things, but you know, with the pageantry, it's taken away from, you know, its true message, because hallowed be thy name is in the Lord's Prayer, right? So when you really go to the definition of that, you know, you will see that there is some reverence to our ancestors and things like that.
Yeah.
Some people think that it's the night that the barrier between heaven and earth is the thinnest, and so on and so forth. But you get lost in everything else.
Yeah, and it's funny you even mention that, because me and Jimmy talk about this all the time. Mexicans are some of the most staunch Catholic people that you'll ever meet in the world.
This is true.
But they do not steer away from their regular traditions, which is the day-to-day. Like, they'll be Catholic all day, all night, but the day-to-day, they still celebrate that. And if you try to get black folks to start talking about some E5, African spirituality, they running in the other direction. But that's a conversation for another day. We got one more topic we want to hit in church parking lot gossip, and it's that time of year, y'all. Has the pastor-elect, a political leader, a local elected official come into the pulpit? Because we know election is here. It's that time. Talk about it, Kurt. Growing up in church, I know you've seen it happen year in and year out. We don't see our local elected officials until the end of, they start coming right around Halloween, the end of October, going into that first Monday or that first Tuesday in November. Talk about why that is, man.
Now we're gonna hear from Brother State Representative. You know what I mean? Like,
everywhere.
I'll never forget this classic story that my mother told me about when she went to the Solid Rock Church, and how
in Lebanon, Ohio?
Yeah.
That's okay. The Solid Rock. Okay.
Used to be Touchdown
Jesus.
Right. You know, out there.
Right.
The big statue that was struck by lightning, as if that wasn't the message.
Boy.
You know, that's funny. People ask for messages all the time, and when God above sends you a message, you don't want to listen to it. But anyway,
they put it right back up. But go ahead.
Okay. So, but it was during the Obama's run for office, when he was running against McCain, and she basically told the congregation that if you vote for Obama, it's like a vote for the devil.
Wow.
You know, I mean, furthermore, this election, this past election, when it was Trump versus Biden,
right,
we saw all the evangelicals go crazy.
Absolutely.
Do you remember the lady that was calling on the African angels?
Oh, that's your girl. Black people used to love her.
Oh my!
What is it? Not Joyce Meyer. The other lady, Paula White.
Yes.
Paula White is her name. Yep.
Oh my God! I couldn't believe what I was seeing, bro. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, first of all, you calling on Africa? You gotta call on Africa. You need something strong, dude. You need something strong, baby. The hypocrisy is wild.
Absolutely.
You know, when you want to use our culture, you know, our lineage,
right,
you know, our ancestors, it's wild the depths that people will go to you know, to get their ambitions across. You know, I can't believe it. I think it's, now in this country we have separation of church and state, which has totally gone away to me.
Man,
but I just think that and it's going amok.
Yep.
But that last presidential election cycle, man, that was crazy.
Crazy. And as we see, this is a midterm election, so of course people aren't going to be out voting like they do presidential elections, but that's a whole nother conversation for another day. But I'm always leery of when these politicians want to come around and get your platform and get your pulpit to speak to your people about an election, when a lot of times you don't see those guys until that time of the year comes around. And we just need to be mindful of holding people accountable all the time. Don't let people come in and snatch your congregation's ear and try to push why they should be voting for them and this, that, and the third. Because to me, it's pimping 101. You know what I'm saying? Like we see it all day, every day. So, you know, Election day is coming up. Vote for who you vote for, and keep these cats out of your pulpit, man. Now, we're going to move gears and talk about, in my opinion, a real serious subject, a real serious matter that's going on in the world today.
What's that?
And that's about our brother Kanye West. You see, I got my
West.
West. Yeah, exactly.
Yay.
I got my West 2020 shirt on.
Okay. Nice shirt, brother.
Thank you, brother. What we've been seeing here over the last, let's say, 4 to 6 weeks, it has intensified. Talk to us and give me your point of view and your perspective on what's been going on as it pertains to our brother YÉ.
You know what? I'm going to yield the floor to you and let you go first.
Okay, all right. So what we've been seeing, in my personal opinion, is a person who has continuously and purposely, in my opinion, misunderstood and misquoted. A person who, in my opinion, is a musical genius as well as a genius in the fashion world. And you see how he changed fashion. Everything that he gets involved with, he puts his blueprint and he puts his stamp down, and he raises fashion, he raises music to a new level. So let's talk about some of the things that people are saying about the brother. He's crazy. And Wesley said it so eloquently. We have to stop using that term and calling people crazy, but just because it's so dismissive. You know what I'm saying? And our brother has been claimed with being anti-Semitic. Now, a person stating facts, how that is hate speech, I have no clue. He went on Dream Champs and talked about how Jews run media, which we know that's true. They run Hollywood, we know that's true. And they said that the brother's anti-Semitic. And basically what he was saying was he wants his people to be able to do some of those same things. We have influence and power and money. We need to pull those things together so we can have that same type of influence, a la what the LGBT community has done. In my personal opinion, they've taken that Jewish playbook and have done the same thing. So our brother is condemned and called anti-Semite or being anti-Semitic or being hateful and being crazy just because he's talking about and doing things that people don't like. He's disrupting the program. He's been that glitch in the matrix.
You know what comes to mind is a book titled How Jews Built Hollywood. Now, for it to be more digestible, let's not say Jews run the media. Let's say people run the media that just happen to be Jewish.
Right. There you go.
So, with that being said, you know what's funny to me is what's happened to him over the last, I say, month or so. You know how people act with the Powerball.
Yeah.
You know, people, when the Powerball hits numbers like 1.6 billion like it was yesterday,
right?
Everybody spends time talking about what they would do if they got the money.
Absolutely.
Christians love to say, misquote, money is the rule of all evil.
Right.
But these same people will take the time to talk about what they would do with that money if they won the Powerball.
Right.
Now, when Brother YÉ was so-called knocked out of the billionaire lane, everybody celebrated.
Yeah, it was awful.
It's just so contradictory how we are with money. I believe. Everybody contradicts themselves at some point.
Absolutely.
Now this brother is just in front of the world, and you are able to see some of the things he says that you either may not understand or maybe contradict something else he may do.
Right.
But we are all spirits having a human experience.
Yep.
No one is perfect. What I will say about what YÉ has done is he has shook things up. Yes. Whether you want to argue back and forth or not about if he's right or wrong, which is something, a narrative that is being put to you by the same media
entities,
that he is speaking about. Don't you get that?
Right.
Don't you get that somebody is controlling how you think, controlling your opinion? You know, you think you get on social media, and you're scrolling and seeing things that, oh, now you say this and now you're changing that. These are things that are being controlled. It's called an algorithm.
That's real.
You know, we as a people, we gotta wake up. We have to start forming our own opinions.
Yes.
How many people, after he spoke about Harriet Tubman didn't save the slaves, how many people went and actually researched?
Right.
And found out that she did speak about not trusting America with her people anymore, started taking people clean to Canada.
Right.
We don't have any do we have any statues in America of Harriet Tubman?
No, stuff that we as a people put up, not as a country, absolutely.
But there are statues in Canada.
I went to it, as you can see right here in this picture, in St. Catharines, Ontario, which is about an hour from Toronto. I took my boys and my wife there. We went and spent some time. It was Easter Sunday. We went to her church and seeing where she took her people, because like Kurt just said, he's absolutely 1000% correct. She didn't trust this country where
I did my research, brother.
Absolutely.
I did my research.
Right.
You know what I mean?
She didn't trust her people here in America, so she took them across the border, you know, into Canada, which is where she set up shop and where she lived her final days before she transitioned to the next realm.
So in not trusting those people, what she was speaking about is bringing them from the south to the north. The people in the north was just as heinous.
Just as heinous.
But what you also may not realize is the Civil War wasn't about the ending of slavery.
No.
The Civil War was about the starting of industrialization. Big factories. And they needed people to do that. They were ready, the North was ready to move away from, you know, these people being in the cotton fields. They had invented the cotton gin, you know what I mean? So they wanted to get on to other business.
And plus, and just not to cut your knowledge, and plus, the North said the South has had too much of a head start of getting their wealth. We need to stop that. You know what I'm saying? Because they was generating too much money because of the cotton fields and because of our ancestors in the cotton field working for hundreds of years for free. It's like, hold on, man. They getting too much paper down there. You know what I'm saying? We need to stop that, i.e. industrialization here in the North.
You know, and we may have gotten a little off track.
No, it's not off track.
It's not off track. You're right. Because we have this platform and we're going to use it to teach.
Yep.
You know, we're not going to use it to preach.
Yeah.
That's why it's church after hours.
Right.
So on to the next crazy thing that people allege that Kanye did was saying slavery was a choice.
Talk about it. Let's talk about it.
You same fools stood up and clapped, and Black Panther, when Killmonger said, "I'd rather die
and be thrown in the ocean with my ancestors than to live."
Man, in the words of Baba Gregory, may he rest in peace.
What kind of fool is you? Man, and let me tap into that choice thing, because people play with words, and I just look at the word for what it is. It's a choice, right? I have a choice to do and live my life the way I live my life, right? And I'm thankful for some of the choices I've made. So let's just look at our ancestors. Some ancestors said, I would rather die. They had that Killmonger spirit. I'd rather die than be a slave.
And they did.
And they did. That was their choice.
Yes.
Now, obviously, our ancestors, us that are here, our ancestors made a choice. Said, you know what? We're going to deal with it. We're going to stay here. And guess what? I'm glad they made that choice, because we wouldn't be here. So people had choices. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, you always have choices.
Absolutely.
Regardless of what you think and how you feel, it was a choice.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And when people made the choice not to be a slave, there was many things that were created. You know, There were many things that were created to get these guys back on track.
Absolutely.
And one of them was hanging in public places, similar to the smear campaign. And now I don't want to compare hanging to what Kanye is going through, but metaphorically, it's still the same thing going on.
We can call it a public lynching versus a physical lynching, because that's exactly what it is when you see.
Well, the point I was trying to make, not to cut your knowledge, brother. The point I was trying to make is they would do it in front of people, to create that fear.
Absolutely.
Just like, you know, I heard yesterday, man, in my Pastor Jennings knock on the wood. I heard yesterday. Well, matter of fact, it popped up on my phone that LeBron said what Kyrie did was hurtful.
Yeah.
And after he was asked by a media person, LeBron didn't have nothing to do with it, bro.
Nothing to do with it. Nothing. Shout out to brother Floyd Mayweather. And we kind of switching gears because Kyrie and YÉ are kind of hand in hand right now because they're being attacked in the same fashion.
And before you, I love LeBron.
Yeah.
And that's why I brought that up. Now, I am intelligent enough to know that the brother misspoke and still love him.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's not going to make me stop.
Right. Absolutely.
And that's what they force you to do.
Yep.
They want you to stop supporting your brother because of something that came out of his mouth.
Right. Absolutely.
Okay, brother.
And just to drive that point home further, it hurts to see when we are attacking each other with suggestions and encouragement from other people who aren't even in our own culture.
Man,
and these are the divisive things that they do.
Goofy.
Because I said, LeBron, like, how did Kyrie say or do anything hurtful? He posted a link to a documentary, which is a book called Hebrews to Negroes.
Right. Something he did not write.
Something he didn't write, something he didn't produce. And then you have people like Shaq and Charles Barkley who sit up on TNT who are just comedians now, in my personal opinion. They really don't give real takes on basketball. They just make people laugh for 2 or 3 hours watching games. Call this man an idiot. And this is why I love the internet. They went and found that Shaquille O'Neal and all his business ventures he owns multiple movie theaters. And his movie theaters in Newark, New Jersey is actually showing the film. So, I mean, it's crazy. And my brother, Dr. Mark Freeman, who's a good friend of mine, brother from Chicago, who's down bottom in Mississippi now, he said it. He said Kyrie needs to sue all of these entities, because how are you attacking a person that posted a link for a film and a book, but you're not attacking the author? You're not attacking Jeff Bezos, who's an American Jew, a Jewish person, by the way. You're not attacking none of these people, but you're attacking.
And Leo Cohen runs YouTube, but you can find the documentary on YouTube, Amazon,
all those platforms. So enough is enough, man. We have to be smart enough, and as our brother always says, Tariq Nasheed, who I love, we have to stay on code, man. You know what I'm saying? It's nothing you can tell me about this brother that's gonna make me get off code. Now, we might cut the cameras off, but we might have a conversation. I'm never going to publicly spew any hatred or any foul words towards my brother. And that's the way we have to start dealing with each other.
Yeah, man. We have totally lost that idea. But we've been taught that over the years.
Absolutely.
By the murder and the assassination of Martin, Malcolm, Kennedy tried to show us some love.
Yep.
They popped his top.
Yep.
I mean, countless people, the Black Panthers. We could go on and on, brother, that they have taught you to be fearful.
Yep.
You know, I just can't believe some of the stuff that you hear daily, man.
From us.
You hear daily. And okay, we got to get to the shirt.
Yeah.
We've got to get to the shirt. White Lives Matter.
Right. And let me say this before you touch on the shirt. You just named two figures in our culture that are just like huge. Malcolm and Martin. Let's not forget, they weren't very popular when they were assassinated.
Sure was.
They were called anti-Semitic as well. They were called anti-Semitic as well.
This is true.
Jesse Jackson in the 80s, he was called anti-Semitic as well. True. So Dr. Amos Wilson, who wrote one of the most powerful books of the 20th century called Blueprint for Black Power, he stated, anyone that you can't critique or criticize controls you. And that's a very powerful statement.
Say that again, brother.
Anyone that you're not allowed to critique controls you. And that's a very, very powerful statement. If I can't critique you or have an honest opinion about you.
You mean like my mother when I was young?
Absolutely. Exactly.
Yeah. That's what came to mind when you said that.
Absolutely.
Brother.
That's the same way. But the t-shirt, you're talking about the t-shirt.
Yeah, White Lives Matter.
Yeah.
You know, man, first of all, when I think about the Black Lives Matter movement, the first thing I think about is when everybody posted a black square on social media.
Yes.
Where did the idea come from? I bet you don't know.
Yeah.
Because I don't know.
Right.
But in reality, all that did was drown out the protest. Because now, when you scroll during that time, all you seen was nothing. All you seen was darkness.
Right.
Black. All you seen was nothing. You know, that's not a protest. That's a bamboozlement. If that's even a word.
Hijacking the moment.
Yeah. I mean, there was no words at that point.
Right.
You know, so White Lives Matter, we know White Lives Matter. And if they didn't matter, y'all wouldn't be so scared when we talking about the Jews in the media.
Absolutely. All right, that's our segment on Brother YÉ. We finna get into our last segment, our Sinners and Saints. I had to go into my Rolodex and give y'all a classic. And this is for my man Barry Bonds, who threw me under the bus. You know what I'm saying? He threw me under the bus. And I found myself back in Atlanta, the ATL. This is 1997. Freaknik.
Great year.
Freaknik. So Bonds is not going. He can't go.
What was it?
I'm going. He can't go.
Freak. Oh, Mark.
And this was my first time going to Freaknik, mind you. So this is bananas. So he like, man, you still going? I'm going with my guys from Wright State. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, you know, when you're in college, you ain't got to tell your parents you're going out of town. You just go out of town. You know what I'm saying? So we go down there, we do our thing, we kick it, and it just so happened my home church from Chicago was in town that weekend. They came to fellowship with Lincoln Heights.
Wow.
So my grandma, aunts, you know, Godfather, Pastor Cherry, everybody's in Cincinnati. They all at Lincoln Heights kicking it. And everybody's like, where he at? He at school, you know what I'm saying? Like, but I'm not in Dayton, Wright State. I'm in Freaknik, you know what I'm saying? So we at the crib, they at the crib, and my brother can tell the story better because he was there when Bonds drastically told me. Oh, they at the crib eating. Moms and cooked up. Her and grandma and cooked up real good, and everybody's just kicking it. And something came on CNN about it being some commotion down in Atlanta.
Wow.
At the Freaknik. So Barry like, yeah, man, I hope he all right down there.
Wow.
I hope he's in that foolishness. So mom was like, what? He's like, yeah. Oh, I wasn't supposed to say nothing. He's down in Freaknik, you know what I'm saying? So, Bonds, I just want you to know, man, I forgive you, brother. I think that's the only time we ever really had any beef or any argument is when he dry snitched on me going down to the ATL to Freaknik. But I just wanted to share that with y'all, man. And Freaknik, that was the last year they actually did the Freaknik too.
How was it?
1997, it was beautiful, bro.
After hours.
After hours, man. So we go make it to this final stretch. We got the message, and this is one I wanted to share with y'all because I thought it went well with the things I knew we was going to be talking about today. Okay. I'm going to read it, and then I'll let you have the final word on the Kurt.
Okay.
This is a Turkish proverb, and it says, the forest was shrinking, but the trees kept voting for the axe. For the axe was clever and convinced the trees that because his handle was made of wood, he was one of them.
Man, when you got to the Axe Convention in Chattanooga, you was going, I've never heard that proverb before, but man. It makes me think of the quote from Malcolm about the media, you know, making you think the guilty person, you know, is the person that is not guilty, and the not guilty is the guilty.
Right.
I'm paraphrasing, but yeah, I just think we have to be sharper.
Mm-hmm.
We need to read, and we need to study history, and we just need to open our eyes. You know what? Let me stop. We need to get to the point that YÉ was talking about. What keeps getting overshadowed is these 10 contracts of the 10 biggest athletes, stars, entertainers.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see their contracts.
Yep.
Stop smearing. Stop being upset. Let's see these contracts.
Right.
And then form an opinion.
Absolutely. And this quote reminds me of our great poet, Sonia Sanchez, our sister, and she has a quote that says, everyone that's is your skinfolk ain't your kinfolk. You know what I mean? So that the axe resembles the trees because they made of some of the same things, but they're not the same. So
and they have totally different purposes.
Totally different purposes, right? Exactly. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode, and we'll see y'all next week, Church After Hours.
Peace.